Okay, so welcome back everyone. Today we will be covering this question, array duplicates, and it has been marked as easy category question, and the same has been present on LeetCode as well as 442. So let us look at this question, what this question says and how we can solve this one. Okay, so we have been given an array of size n, and it is containing elements ranging from 1 to n. So that's an important part we need to note. And each element appears at most twice, right? So there are two conditions. Elements ranges from 1 to n, and the second point is that it can appear at most twice. That means it can appear 1 or 2, and at most twice means you can start from 0 as well. Ya to 0 hoga, ya to 1 hoga, ya to 2 hoga, and that is the times the element can present. Return an array of all the integers that appears twice, right? You can return the elements in any order, but the driver code will put them in sorted order. Okay, makes sense to me. So what could be the possible approaches for this one? And if we do a small run for this one, 2 3 1 2 3, we can see that the number 2 is there, which has a frequency 2, number 3 is there, which has a frequency 2 again, and the number 1 is there, which has a frequency 1, right? So how many elements are there which has the frequency 2? That is these 2 and 3, and that is why this has been printed as the output, right? Method 1, as you may have also thought of it, the brute force approach would be that we use a nested for loop, right? And for each and every element we check it. So that means if you do a small dry run, so it would be 2 3 1 2 and 3, right? This would be your ith pointer, and this would be your window of j pointer, right? And we would be having this element array of I, and we'll be checking if it is present in this range, right? If that is there, then we clearly add it in our array list. Well, let's say resulted array list. Then similarly I goes to the next pointer, that is 3, and then the range of j changes from these elements, right? And we check if that particular array of I is present in this array of j, then definitely that particular element has appeared twice, and we need to mark it in our answer. Now, having said that, what would be the time and space, since we're using a 2 nested for loop, right? So this will give you n, this will give you n, O of n square, and since we are not using any additional space, instead of just using a space for the given return type, so we actually don't consider the space which we have used for the given return type, and the rest of the space which we would have used to solve the question, we would have to consider that. So n square as time and 1 as space, right? Moving forward with the next approach. So as you can see that we need to check that if the elements has appeared twice or not, right? So another good way, or the better approach would be that we sort that particular element, right? The particular array, and if we sort it, you will get the resultant arrays as 1 2 2 3 and 3, right? Now we just keep on check the adjacent elements, right? So we have our ith pointer pointing as 0, right? And we see that if the adjacent element, that is I plus 1, if it is equal, it is not the case, then we just move the pointer ahead, that is I becomes at this 2, the next element which is pointing at 2. Now I check again that if the adjacent element is same, it is, right? So we add it into our array list. Here goes our line 10, and we move our pointer 2 steps ahead because that's already been covered. So our new I would be at this 3, and I again check the adjacent element. If it is same, then again this 3 would be added in our resultant array list, and I will move ahead by 2 steps, and now we have traversed all the elements, and the I is out of bound of the array, right? And in that case, this while loop will never work now, and we will be returning the resultant array list. That goes on method 2. Now what would be the method 3? Method 3 would be something like a time space trade-off, right? Instead of sorting it, the better way would be that we would have solved in O of n, right? And how can we do that? We need to check if it appears twice or not, right? So the best way to check if the array or the bunch of pool elements has its duplicates or not is a set or a map, right? If you want to track something like key value pair, use map. If you just want to track the key and the operations on that key, then you need to use a set. And here goes our method 3. So here the time would be O of n and space would be O of n, since we are using a set. So what would be happening in this case is that you have this bunch of pool elements, that is 2 3 1 2 and 3. Your I is at this point, and let's say this is a set which only allows unique elements, right? And you can check the duplicacy in O of 1, right? And how this actually happens is a very good question for your interview, so do check on it. And while you are checking at that part as well, so let me give you one quick glimpse. So these are all the questions which we are covering as a DSA 360 part, and I think this first column has already been recorded. And here goes our Discord and YouTube channel. You can join and explore forward. These are the current plays which we have maintained. There's the computer programming DSA and bunch of other things, so do check it out. And let's get back. Okay, and if you're here and still watching the video, getting the help, do like, share and subscribe the channel before moving ahead. Okay, so what is happening here? So this is at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the indexes, right? And I'm checking if this particular element, if it is already present in the set, right? Then there is some operations which we are doing. But if it is not present, we add it in the set, right? Now the next element 3, is it present? Is this element present in the set? No, so add it in the set. Now this again 1, not present in the set, so add it in the set. And then this 2. Now I will check that my set contains this element, right? And that is what is happening here. If set dot contains my current element, then in that case you need to add that particular element into your resultant array list, and at last you will return the answer, right? So this 2 would be added in your answer, and similarly we'll move on ahead. Now I at this point 3, and I will check again that 3 is already there in the set, right? So that's a duplicate, and we add it into our given array list. And that is it for this one. So what would be the time and space now? Time goes as O of n and space goes of O of n, right? So these two approaches, right? This is something called time-space trade-off, that we optimize the time but we use some space, right? So that's an additional term for you to just remember it. Now method 4. Method 4 is, remember why we highlighted the above 2 points, that the values are from 1 to n only, right? And here goes the actual logic, that we can use these values to track the indexes in our array, and once we are able to track the other elements into our given array, then we can track the duplicates as well using some approaches like we mark that particular duplicate element as a negation, right? Let us do a very quick dry run and you'll be able to get through it. So 2, 3, 1, 2 and 3, right? So the indexes are 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. That's correct. Yep. Okay, now the n is equals to nothing but 5, right? And your values ranges from 1 to n, that is 1 to 5, right? But if you see in this 5 element, what is the maximum index you will get? It is 4, which is nothing but n minus 1, right? And that is the reason for each and every element we will track the indexes using the given number minus 1, right? Because अगर हमारे पास कोई ऐसा element आए, once again, let's suppose you have a element 5, right? And you just tracked array of 5, then you will get an exception, right? Index out of bound, that because 5 does not exist, and that is why we need to track 5 minus 1, right? The elements minus 1. Okay, so let us now continue with the dry run. Okay, so for this one, for this 2, so 2 minus 1 will give you 1. That means I'm talking about this index, right? And I will see there's an element there, and that's a positive element, right? So just to keep track for our future references that this element has already been visited in past, or we are actually visiting just once at the first site, then we mark it as, let's say, negative, right? And what do we do again? And we keep on going here. Now we are at this position, that is 3. Now 3 minus 1, which will give you 2, right? So this element will point at this index, and I will say that again I am seeing an element which is a positive, right? So that's the first time, so I'm going to mark it as negative. So this 3 has become minus 3 and 1 has become minus 1, right? Now the another element which is minus 1, right? Now if you are traversing using this for loop into the given array, right, then, and we are also at the same time we are also marking the element as negative, right? Then how we can ensure, because there are no negative indexes in the array, right? So that is why we are using a ABS here, because minus 1, the ABS of minus 1 will give you 1 and 1 minus 1 will give you 0. So that means this element is actually giving the track of which index? This one, 0. And I again see that this now array of I is positive. That means कि अभी भी हमें ये पहली बार दिखा है. We haven't covered this element for the first time. Let's not duplicate here. If the array was just these three elements, right? तो हम इसे -2 mark करेंगे, right? So this 3 has become -3, 1 has become -1, and 2 has become -2, right? Going forward, this one, and you would see that the element is 2. So 2 minus 1 will give you 1. So this is actually pointing to this index, right? And now you will see that you already have a negative element. That means this 2 is a duplicate element, right? And why is it so, guys? Because let us when you started from this array of 0, you had a 2, right? And you went to this index, that is 2 minus 1, and you marked that element as negative. And that is the reason कि हम इसे track कर पा रहे हैं. यहाँ पे हमें 2 आपस से मिला. We went back to the same index because we were using the same logic for each and every element, that is tracking this one. Going to the -1, the element -1 and marking that element as negative, and that's the reason we're able to track it. Again, for this 3 you will see the element value -1, which will give you 2. So this is basically tracking which element, this index, right? And we again have a negative element here, so that means this 3 is also a duplicate element. So 2 and 3 in that case, if the array of index is less than 0, we add it in our answer, and that is it for this one. And having said that, what would be the time and space? Since we are traversing just once into a given array, so O of n as time complexity and O of 1 as space complexity, right? Because you're not reading any additional data structure, just accept few variables and this array list. But this is we have been forced to use this because the return type was array list of integer, right? That is it for this one. Let us see the code in action both on LeetCode and GFG, and then we'll wrap it off. So here goes our GFG submission, and here goes our LeetCode submission. So that's great. And do not forget to join our Discord group because you will get each and every update in this group. And do not forget to like and share and subscribe our YouTube channel, because I've been documenting each and everything since I graduated. It's been 3 years now, and I hope it be able to help a few guys. And there goes a DSA repository. We'll have a bunch of maybe 300 to 500 standard questions, and you can start and fork for this one to get help in your interviews. So till then, bye bye.